the first time we've seen you in a film since Little Women, and this is a bit of a different character, to say the least, from Joe. I don't know, is it more your comfort zone to play an introvert or an extrovert?
Interesting question. I would say at the minute it feels more natural for me to play an extrovert. But I think when I was younger, up until maybe like 3 years ago, I would have been more interested in playing introverts. There's a lot that you can contain, and then I think you get to a certain point where you just want to mess it up a little bit. So
right.
That's what I feel I'm at now. So it was really interesting playing Joe and having a lot of fun being very kind of loud and messy and gesticulating a lot and just like physically being able to do whatever I wanted. And then going to play Charlotte, who had to be incredibly sort of restrained in every way. What I realised as well is that like I've really never played like the girl in the film in the pretty dress or the girl in the corset really. I'm always like Joe March, where it's like, I'm not wearing a corset, ugh, screw you, you know.
Right.
So this was very frustrating for me because we'd be on these beautiful beaches, or Kate would have these like, you know, big jumpers on her and she'd be able to lift things and move wherever she wanted, and I physically couldn't move.
You mentioned Kate. I mean, this is the first time you've worked with the great Kate Winslet. I mean, this is you know, you guys, you know, without making your head explode, you are two of the most celebrated actors on the planet. This is like De Niro and Pacino when they did Heat. You want to see the two of you on screen together. I'm curious what Kate meant to you growing up as an actor. Was she a big influence? Was she somebody that just meant a lot to you?
Yeah, I mean, she was both. I grew up watching her literally every day for a long time because Titanic was, I don't know why I was allowed to watch it when I was so young, to be honest, but I was. Same with Dirty Dancing, like I don't know what mum and dad were thinking, but anyway, Titanic from when I was very young was the film that I would watch like every single night before I would go to sleep. So I spent a long time just sort of imitating her really, and you know, the way, not necessarily Kate, but that character and any other character I would see her play as I grew up, I would try and sort of emulate that in some way and just completely disappear into that character. And I do feel like Kate has this effect on people in the way that almost like, you know, like a musician or a TV personality does, compared to like a lot of film actors. Maybe like she's unbelievably relatable and as a person, and I think in a lot of her roles very kind of approachable, weirdly. Like she feels very open as a person, and so people adore her because of that, and I think they can really feel that from the performances that she plays, and that's how she is in real life. So, you know, it was weird because when I did finally get to work with her, it made total sense that we would get on and that I would feel as comfortable as I do with her. I definitely think maybe the first couple of days I was like, what is Kate? But we had also had this weird introduction to one another because we had met quite a few times in previous years at like events and parties and premieres, and we interviewed each other for Actor on Actor and did like a little photo shoot together and like didn't know each other. So we had actually spent like quite a bit of you know, industry time together before we got to work together. I've done like a couple. I haven't done any that were as explicit as that, but I've weirdly always felt fine doing them because sex scenes, unlike kissing scenes, which are out and out a kiss, like if you've to kiss an actor, you're kissing an actor.
Right.
I'm a bit nervous doing that sometimes. But with a sex scene, it's like the furthest thing from sex you can get. It's so technical and it's so like, all right, why don't you just put your leg there and I'll put my hand on this bum cheek or like whatever. So it's very unsexy. So I've never felt like overly nervous about doing those kind of scenes, and she's obviously done a lot of them, very explicit ones as well. So I think we were good at like taking care of one another, but we also were kind of like given the reins by Francis in terms of the choreography and the sex scenes that we had together. So we came up with the movements ourselves, and he sort of stepped back and let us do that, which was great. So we knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew what she was going to do next. She knew what I was going to do next. So there was nothing that was unplanned. There weren't going to be any surprises. And I think that can be the most nerve-wracking thing, is when you don't know what the other actor is going to do, or the director says, like, just go with it. That's nerve-wracking. But we were really lucky that we had a plan. So.
Have you been going through Timmy Chalamet withdrawal? You've obviously done a bunch of movies in recent years with him. We still have French Dispatch. I don't know if you guys actually share any scenes in that one.
No.
But no, you don't?
It's hard. It's hard not seeing that hair every day. That fluffy French hair.
Luxurious locks of Chalamet.
Yeah.
You were Are you intrigued as everybody is? I mean, I've followed his career so closely and I've gotten to know him a bit. I'm so excited to see him in like the hands of like a Denis Villeneuve on that scale in a movie like Dune. Do you guys like talk about career trajectory and choices? Or do you have those kind of conversations with each other?
Yeah, we do. And we did actually speak about Dune, and that was a really new venture for him. And I've certainly never done anything close to that scale. And, you know, I think it's really important for him to keep the integrity of the work, regardless of how big or small a movie is. Like, he has an awful lot of respect for the craft, I think. Like, I know he really looked up to a lot of the older actors on it, and it was really wonderful for him to get to work with them. So he's really great at sort of being like, I want to learn from you, you know. He doesn't have an ego in that way. Like, he really wants to soak up everything he can from the people around him. And I feel very kind of protective over him, and I talk to him as well. Like, and I think it was before Ammonite came up, when we were maybe rehearsing for Little Women, and I was like, I feel like I want to go do something really, really small and kind of intimate, and something that is just stripped back a little bit now, you know. And we would chat about that, and then with that, Ammonite came up, and you know, it was perfect. But yeah, it's great. It's great to have people that are going through a similar. I mean, Jesus, I'm not going through what the kind of stratospheric fame Timmy's had, but I think it's really good for us to all have people to speak to about these experiences. I've gone up for big things and I just like haven't gotten them as well. So there's that as well. I feel like people can sense like she's not the studio stuff will get, you know. If it's something that I would love to do, like I'd love to do a Bond. What I really want to do is like, I want to play like a villain in a Bond film or something like that. That would be incredible to do something. But I'd love to do something really big. But I think it's worked out. It's worked out fine. I'm very happy with the stuff that I've gotten to do, and I think because, you know, I started off in indie land, and that's what I really love in terms of like the kind of atmosphere and the sort of creative control that you have when you're on those types of films. So, and that's what I was saying to Timmy that day. I was like, although Little Women had that as well, but you know, I wanted to go back to like something very small. But yeah, I think it's worked out great. And you know, if something like that came up, then brilliant. But yeah, it hasn't really. They just haven't given me anything. So
I think it's working out so far. So far, so good.
They haven't. Like I sort of it was the day after the Oscars, and I said to her, I was like, you know, I know you're gonna have to do something without me. And I was like, and I just want to let you know, when that day comes, like, I'll be okay.
It's like you're talking to an ex. Be like, it's okay. You can move on without me. We'll still have each other. But
you do one film that I'm not in. Right. And I want you to know you have my blessing. And she was like, okay.
I just want you to be happy. Yeah.
I want you to be happy, but I then want you to put me in the next one, obviously. But no, I mean, I think we'll just keep working together. Like we're so lucky with the relationship that we have. Like we'll text each other every kind of few weeks, but when we really come together, it's when we're working, and you know, all of our energy kind of goes into each other. Then, and I think we're both the same in that, like, when we're not working, we're very much like going back to our family and our mates and stuff. But yeah, we just have this very special relationship where, like, kind of like, you know, with your best friend that you've grown up with, where you could go like a month or 2 months without speaking to each other, and it's always the same when you come back together. So a lot of scripts coming up, like only recently, I feel like, that are like really good and really interesting and very different and stuff that I've never seen before. And I think that that's in light of, you know, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, the Trump era, like the whole thing, you know, when all this started to happen over the last few years, and people would say like, oh, have you started to see a difference in the sort of female roles that are starting to come in? And I didn't for a while, but now I'm starting to see it, and that's quite exciting to see, like, properly, you know, well-written, well-rounded characters in really cool films. So that's been really exciting to just read the stuff that's out there, that's kind of floating about.
I remember way back when you briefly did the Twitter thing, and clearly for whatever reason it didn't feel right for you. I'm curious, you know, social media is obviously a big part of most people's lives. Are you out there? Are you lurking? Do you have the secret TikTok account? Like, what are you doing?
Oh, no, I'm not on anything. I had an Instagram like years ago, and I got locked out of it, and I just haven't bothered to remember my password. So I think that's been deleted. I haven't been on anything in years, and for me personally, the distraction of it. I'm also just not good with my phone, where, as my publicist will know, if I get too many work texts or emails, I'll just turn my phone off because it's stressing me out. So I think social media is just, which is very irresponsible, and it's definitely not something a grown-up should do, but there you go. But yeah, so I think social media just takes that onto a whole new level of stress. And also, I think what it's allowed me to do instead is like have little group chats with like my actual friends, and you know, they'll share things with me, they'll share memes or photographs or videos or whatever, and that's kind of how I keep in touch with.
Well, speaking of memes, are you aware of how popular the you jumping out of the car in the beginning of Lady Bird gif is? It's like one of my favorites. It's one of my go-tos. Do you use it?
I don't know if I've ever used a meme that I'm in, you know. But you know, the one that I really love is people have used it for everything, and everyone keeps sending it to me. When lockdown happened, it's like, I'm not gonna have a drink this week or whatever, and then it's the meme of Joe saying, I tried and I failed, I can't. That's the one I get the most.